Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Toilets to Titles. You have dozens of shows out there to choose from, hundreds of shows to choose from, and tonight you chose Toilets to Titles. We greatly appreciate you for that. And as you can see, my co-host John is not with us tonight. He is going to be recording on the clock tonight with Nino, so you guys will be able to check that out Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But those of you in the industry, you probably see a pretty familiar face with me tonight, Bob Lung. So, Bob, tonight you're coming to us mostly to talk about the Fantasy Football Expo. Before we get to that, how are you doing, my man?
A little stressed. Between Hall of Fame week this week, I picked up DeMarcus Ware today at the airport, dropped him off at the hotel, and we'll start festivities and stuff tomorrow. But between that and kind of finally putting the final, cherries on top here for the expo for next week, it's a little busy.
Yeah, DeMarcus Ware, a legend that we're going to be talking about in just a moment. So that's interesting because if I remember right, you drive the players and stuff, right? Like around town.
Yep, this is my 34th year of driving in Chinese when they come into town, and it's a blast every year. It's everything you think it is and more.
So we always get in Thursday night, Friday morning, and I always get to see you Friday morning when we check in, and then I normally always see you Sunday as we're leaving. There is a huge difference in your facial expressions, I got to tell you. Now, aside from the expo, obviously this isn't like this. I mean, you're slowly becoming known as the expo guy, but this isn't all you do in the industry. So tell the people before I forget where all they can find your work and what exactly you do in the industry.
So, I'm also pretty well known for this thing called the Fantasy Football Consistency Guide that I put out every year. Been nominated 6 straight years as one of the best publications in the country by the FSWA, Fantasy Sports Writers of America. So I'm always honored to be chosen for that. I won it once in 2018. So that comes out. So if you want to go to Amazon, get that for your drafts. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you'll get it in 2 days. So go out and get that. Just go to Amazon and just type in Fantasy Football Consistency. And you might even be able to just type Consistency Guide. It'll pop up first. But so that's obviously out there on Twitter. You can find me at Bob_Lung. The expo can be found at theFFexpo.com, or not.com, at theFFexpo. Big Guy Fantasy Sports is where all of my consistency stuff during the season is all held. All kinds of really cool tools to show how consistent the players are in your league with your scoring method on the website. There are forecasters. There are historical data you can look at of how well players do home versus away versus good defense, bad defense, and in between. So all of that stuff is out there, and definitely would love to everybody to check it out as well.
And I want people to buy that guide. I want people to go to that website and buy that guide. Those of you that follow the show on a regular basis, you know about our Frankenstank Listener League, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit as well. It's a $25 value because it does cost $25 to get in the league. The next 3 people that can show me in a screenshot that they purchased this guide from Bob will get a free entry into next year's Frankenstank Listeners League. So that's the next 3. Also, I want to do another giveaway tonight, Bob, since I'm in the mood right now.
Right.
We have those free expo tickets that you gave us. You graciously donated to us to give away. And I'm having trouble giving them away. We've tried a few different avenues. So I think maybe giving them away as individual tickets might be tough because a lot of times people don't want to go as individuals.
Sure.
So this is what I'm going to do because we're pushing the time now. We're up against it. Like it's less than 2 weeks, which is phenomenal. I'm super stoked. But anyway, we have up to 5 tickets here. So all I need you to do at any point during the show, or even the first people to comment after the show, just comment your favorite thing that you would like to see about the expo. It could be the Hall of Fame itself. It could be the flag football tournament or any number of the things that Bob's about to talk about. But just tell me a little bit about what the favorite thing that you look forward to in the expo itself. And then the actual expo is on Sunday, and those are what we have the free tickets for. And you tell me how many tickets you want, anywhere between 1 and 5. I'll give you the tickets, thanks to Bob, and we'll get you set up with those. But comment it in the comments now, or comment it, be the first to comment after the show, whatever. But we want to get rid of those. Now, before we get into the expo and all the work that you've been doing and all the fun stuff that we've been able to experience ourselves as Toilisted Titles the last 2 years, thanks to you, I do want to talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame. So, with you being able to drive the players around, and obviously you're a football fan, I really hope you don't do all this work if you don't like the game. I know, who is your favorite team?
So, I have to say it's the Browns, being that where I live. But I'm also been a closet Raiders fan since the 70s because I had to root for somebody in the 1970s when I was a teenager to beat the Steelers because the Browns couldn't do it because they were terrible in the 70s. And the Oakland Raiders were the only team that could do that on a consistent basis. And so I kind of always was kind of a closet Raiders fan. I kind of like their attitude. My guy was always Fred Biletnikoff because, he was the not so fast, not so great, but man, he got open all the time. He made every catch, and he's a Hall of Famer. And I always tell people I wear number 25 when I played sports just because of him, because that was my favorite player. And, just the win baby attitude, just the whole thing. It was just a lot of fun to follow. And, it was a team that could beat the Steelers in the 70s. And I just kind of stayed with them and, still follow them as kind of my second team. But yeah, so Browns and Raiders.
Hey, I can feel that. I grew up as a Colts fan. I'm a huge Colts fan now. But my age growing up, a lot of what I rooted for was Brett Favre and the Packers. So Packers have always been my second team. But fortunately, you have a Brown that's making that short trip from Cleveland to Canton this week. So I'm assuming are you always actually at the enshrinement as well for the most part?
Oh yeah. So any event you see or that is happening, I will be at somewhere. Whether watching from wherever I can stand and watch, or driving people around or whatever. I mean, a lot of it just depends on my personal guy. So like for example, for enshrinement, we pretty much hang around because they all stay till the end. But every event's different. Sometimes they get interviewed different times during the game on Thursday. So I might be there at the first quarter, and then he wants to go back to the hotel, or because it's a preseason game, he's not gonna sit and watch it. But it just depends on the schedule. But I'm, it's a very flexible, but it's a day and night kind of job, and I'm at their beck and call, and it's a blast.
So you pretty much just put all of the stress in your life into these 2 weeks, and then also
pretty much. There's some other stress during the year, but pretty much these 2 weeks.
Makes us appreciate
the Hall of Fame is not stressful to me. I mean, after doing it for 34 years, I'm so used to knowing where I need to be and where, they're more stressed than I am because they're more, oh my gosh, I got to be here. And I'm like, we got it. Be here at this time in the lobby. I'll get you there. You'll be plenty of time. Everything's fine. I've done this for a long time. So I'm actually less stressed. I mean, I'm, very calm from a Hall of Fame standpoint. Because I'm trying to take care of them and make sure they feel comfortable. They know that I'm in control, that I know where they need to be, what time they need to be at, even though they have a schedule and they have people. I usually know, back roads to get someplace that get through a traffic jam. I mean, just because that's what I've done for, and it's my town, so I know it very well.
Gotcha. Well, congratulations to Joe Thomas, your Brown, for 167 straight games played.
Amazing.
Unreal. So very, very deserved. And happy to see that he's still around the game. We still get to see him a lot. And personally, one of my personal favorites on here is Rondé Barber. I'm going to be excited to see his bust in Canton. Unfortunately, we can't make it this time for the actual enshrinement, but that's one guy that I always enjoyed watching play. The only player in the NFL to have more than 40 interceptions and more than 25 sacks in a career. I guess, and you mentioned DeMarcus Ware earlier, ninth most sacks in the NFL. He got in pretty quickly, only his second year of eligibility. But I guess the one that surprises me the most is how long it took for Zach Thomas to get in. 10 years he's been waiting, with the fifth most all-time tackles in NFL history. So that's kind of surprising to me.
It is, people always, ask me about, well, why did this guy get in? Why didn't this guy not get in? And I tell people, first off, don't ever blame the Hall of Fame. They don't put them in. They're just a museum.
Right.
There are 32. Actually, I think there's more than that. I think there's 40 sports writers, one for each team, and then there's 8 they call the, I don't know, at large. So like somebody like Peter King is on the committee. There's some other longtime, national people that are on that committee. And it's think about it. It's a very difficult process. You need to get 80% of the vote for a person to go in. So, it's a sell job for whoever is basically I think they call them the presenter of, I'm putting up Joe Thomas, whoever that is, say it was the Browns, Mary Kay Cabot, I'm assuming is the one, for induction into the Hall of Fame. Here's why, so each one of these people are, promoting or, presenting a player and why they should get in. And then there's arguments and discussions, and then they vote. And then they scale that down from 50 to 25 to 15 to 10, I think. Now we have some extras. We have a senior committee, which we've always had actually for a number of years, but now they have the contributor, which is getting more coaches like Don Coryell, and the referee was in last year, Ed McAnally. So I think that's cool because they are a big part of it, that people don't realize that they were big contributors. The guys that did NFL films, Ed and Steve Sable were inducted one year.
Right.
So I think that's cool because it is more than just the players on the field. And hopefully they'll see more trainers and, assistant coaches maybe, and stuff like that just, were made a big impact in the league. So it is tough, to decide who gets in, who's isn't, whether Zach Thomas should have got in sooner or not. There's going to be arguments on both sides, and both are going to be kind of right.
Right. Yeah. And
there's the obvious, the Peyton Manning's, Tom Brady's, et cetera.
Right.
But, those are few and far between.
Right. Going up against the best of the best, it's kind of difficult to call them out for losing,
Yeah.
So real quick, I do want to throw out there, everybody, don't forget, joinrival.com/title tribe. Your first deposit of up to $200 will be matched. They'll even throw in an additional $25 for you to bet with by using that link below, joinrival.com/title tribe. And speaking of websites, I want to make sure everybody remembers the fantasyfootballexpo.com. Just like toilets to titles, I'm sure you were probably surprised that URL was available.
Well, so I went first looking for just fantasyfootballexpo.com. That one was not. And so being from Ohio, and, we always hear the Ohio State University. And I jokingly said to my buddy when we were working on this together, I said, well, look up the Fantasy Football Expo. That would be hilarious. So that was available. And there was.
Boom.
Said, well, that's an obvious one right there. We got to put that. So
I brought up the website because that's where the people can go to see what we're about to talk about. I want to hear about the list of events that you have planned.
So it is a jam-packed weekend. I was telling somebody just the other day, I said, if you walk away from the expo and you were bored, you did something wrong. I'm going to tell you right now. So we start Friday night at 6:00 our kickoff party, Friday night party at Centennial Plaza. It is in downtown Canton. If you're staying at the Doubletree, it's like 3 blocks away. But just for anybody who is thinking about coming, everything in Canton is 10 minutes from each other, from something. There's no traffic. There's no, it's very small town, Midwest USA. So everything's 10 minutes away. So never worry about, if I am at this hotel or that hotel, doesn't matter. You're always 10 minutes away. So anyway, Centennial Plaza, we will have a 32 team cornhole tournament like we did last year. And I retired as champion. You're welcome. And so this year there will be a new champion crowned, new team champion crowned. And so that will be on Friday night. During the party, drinks, food, everything's available there. We have the big drawing for the FFPC $2,000 entry into their $1 million competition. Last year, Britt Flynn won that one. And anybody who buys a weekend pass is automatically entered with a free ticket. And then we'll draw 10. We'll do the football 100-yard dash or 100-yard rush or whatever it's called to see who wins that. So that's Friday night from 6 to 10. Of course, there's usually an after party back at the hotel, unplanned, but it's planned.
Yeah.
Then Saturday all day, man, you got lots of things to do. So if you got your weekend pass, you get a ticket to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and you can go tour the Hall of Fame. That takes you 3-4 hours if you really took your time and really read stuff. It's quite an amazing place. A lot of great stuff to learn about. And then, of course, if you want to draft night out, having their competition at the Brew Kettle, which is right there in Hall of Fame Village. And then 5 to 7 is the flag football tournament. We still need 3 more teams for that to get to 16, so we can do the double elimination tournament. And that's a blast as well. It's a flag football, kind of a mini college overtime kind of scheme to it. Instead of playing a full game, that's it's from 5 to 7, and then 7 to 11, right down the hill in Tom Benson Stadium. A Hall of Fame Stadium is our annual, our Saturday night party. And we're having a beer pong tournament brought to you by Trophy Smack. And of course, the Saturday night party is sponsored by Fantasy Football Advice Forum. Friday's party is Sports Gambling Podcast Network, sponsoring that one. So that's all that. And then finally, Sunday, we get to do some real fantasy football stuff.
Yeah.
We will be going to what's called the Dome. I call it the Dome. It's called the Center for Performance. That's the official name. But we call it the Dome, and we will be inside that. And, you know, it's just massive fantasy football goodness. We've got 4 different stage areas of panels going on at the same time all day long, from Dynasty to Devy to Redraft, auction, best ball, whatever, anything you play, sports betting, prop bets. We've got a panel for it. And we've got some of the biggest names around going on stage. In fact, our pregame event this year, I got to read you this list. So the pregame event runs from 10 to 11. It's the only thing that will happen from 10 to 11. Listen to this lineup of the best that will be on stage talking. Andy Behrens from Yahoo, Pat Doherty, NBC, Howard Bender, Fantasy Alarm, Bob Harris, Football Diehards, Marcus Grant, NFL.com, Jim Coventry, RotoWire, Scott Engel, Game Day, JJ Zachariason, late round quarterback, Jeff Ratcliffe from FTN, and Jeff Mans from Guru Elite. That, my friend, is a blockbuster group of the best of the best. Some of them are Fantasy Sports Hall of Famers already. It's our biggest group we've had for Game Day, and maybe even Des Bryant will be on stage with us for that as well. But he will go on stage at noon to show off his new game called High Point. So if you're a Des Bryant fan, make sure you come in for that. He will be there. He'll be there all day Saturday as well, but he will be there Sunday at noon presenting his stuff. At SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio will be broadcasting live both days, live from the Hall of Fame and from the Dome. It is just one big, massive fantasy football family reunion, I call it. We all get together and 800 of our closest friends come to Canton.
Yeah, that's awesome. And actually with Des Bryant, our guy George on our show is doing a lot of work with them to try to get that up and going as well. So that's a very interesting and intriguing platform. So if you haven't heard about it, make sure you get yourself to that booth. Make sure you listen to what they've got to say, because I'm excited about that platform for the players.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be crazy good. But I don't want to talk about that too much or get into it too much. We'll leave a cliffhanger out there, if you will.
There you go.
You just named off a whole bunch of crazy names, like names that are in my phone in my podcast, and I have almost all of them on my phone and podcast, and I can't keep up with them. So to be able to see all that power on one stage at a time, like, it's going to be unreal, and it always is. But one particular name that you mentioned was Bob Harrison. That reminded me, I got to mention, with our Frankenstank Listener League, you're going to have the opportunity at our booth at the Expo to sign up for our Frankenstank Listener League with Bob Harris, because he's the top name on that list for the fill-in division that we're doing at the Expo. We are also doing a live draft at Canton on Friday, because just like Bob said, the entire schedule was jam-packed, and all of the guys on our team wanted to go do all the fun stuff. So we have to do it on Friday at 2:00 before anything really starts,
Right.
except for the poker tournament. You didn't even mention the
Right.
poker tournament.
Oh, right. Well, that's already sold out. So I figured
Yeah,
I don't want to get anybody excited about it. They go, it's sold out.
Yeah, but that's something else that we're dealing with.
Right.
We got guys that might be a little late, which is fine. Well, hopefully they win. But if you're interested after the poker tournament, come on over to Jersey over at Centennial Park and watch our live Frankenstein draft. I bought a very large magnetic it may as well be a billboard, draft board with the stickers and everything. So that we're gonna have our Frankenstein draft where you will see Freddie Krueger get drafted before Pat Mahomes. Just throwing that out there. So
Nice.
it's a wild and crazy league. You'll never see anything else like it. And that's the league that I'm trying to give away free tickets to, free entries to for next season if you buy Bob's subscription that we talked about earlier. So make sure you rewind, go back and watch that. Anyhow, like I said, you see us at the booth, you sign up for the division with Bob Harris. We'll get you in that division as well, because I believe there's only 11 spots left. So the first 11 to sign up when we're there, get them. So, but Bob, I'm excited. This is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Like I said, we've done this now. This is going to be our third year in a row.
Cool.
I feel like I need to stick around with you just for a little bit after the show, because I have another question I want to ask you.
Okay. Yeah, sure. No
but the last thing I want to talk about before we get off here is I noticed last season, and maybe it happened the year before and all the other years, but last season particularly, you had I believe it was your family. I believe it was your wife and your family were all on the table, and they were all running around, and they looked like they knew what they were doing more so than you did even. So, so
that is 100% true.
I was going to give you a chance to talk about all the sponsors of all the different things. You already hit all that. And yes, Trophy Smack sponsoring a beer pong tournament makes complete sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But is this really a big family affair like this?
It has to be, right? I mean, I can get everything to this point, but I can't run everything at the same time on the weekend. And so basically at that point, my wife takes over as COO. She's check-in. She runs every event, is check-in at every event, makes sure everybody's got their wristbands, their name tags, I've got my daughter and her boyfriend running around doing videos and pictures, and my other two daughters will be around somewhere doing check-ins. And then you've got husbands, significant others, and best friends, and high school buddies, and my mom will be there probably at some point. It's just one big friends and family volunteer fest. I can't do it without them. They're such a blessing to me over that weekend, because that's when it just explodes with goodness, and without them, like you said, knowing what they're doing and having it all. But my wife handles all of that. She's amazing at just scheduling it, has everything down to the science, down to the detail. And that's not my forte. My forte is ideas and big vision, and her is making it all happen. Can't do it without her and the rest of the family and friends.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear it. Again, I know you're super busy. I greatly appreciate your time, especially at this time. I almost kind of waited a little bit too long to have you on to talk about it, but real quick before we go, I do want to remind everybody again, don't forget rival.com/title tribe. Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Check out On the Clock. Hit the like and subscribe for us. Go and follow Bob and all of the work that he does. And I'm going to have tags in the description as well for the locations that he had talked about a moment ago. Get in on our Gilded Chat. It's free to get in on the Gilded Chat. Our Patreon is blowing up. We're getting Patreons on a regular basis now. It's patreon.com/Toilets to Titles. And when you're in that, you'll get a free lanyard. You'll get discounts on merch, but we're also going to give you that the free Gilded Chat as well. And then Doobie Energy, a new sponsor that I almost forgot about. Doobie Energy. Go to doobie.gg. Type in the promo code Title Tribe. You'll get 10% off of your purchase. So, Bob, again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks, and just sit tight for me.